The war waged by the US and Israel against Iran has been ongoing for nearly a month, and researchers suggest this conflict could last much longer. A massive humanitarian price has already been paid. While thousands of Iranians have lost their lives as a result of US and Israeli strikes, many others have perished in attacks across the Gulf and Levant regions. Additionally, there is a significant economic loss, especially for Iran. As you likely know, attacks on energy infrastructure in the region and Iran's threat to close the Strait of Hormuz have significantly driven up oil and natural gas prices. However, the real economic impact is spreading to a much broader scale through indirect effects on areas such as food security, the high-tech industry, and plastics. The world economy is essentially dependent on oil. In this video, we will take a deep dive into the economic impacts of the war in Iran. There's nothing to miss, so be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to stay informed about developments at all times. Subscribing is a logical start for that reason. Gulf countries play a critical role in oil and natural gas production, and the energy sector is currently facing a major crisis. Iran's closure of the strait, through which about one-fifth of the world's oil supply normally passes, and its attacks on Arab countries that meet the oil supply have led to what the International Energy Agency, IEA, described as the largest supply disruption in global oil market history. Hundreds of tankers are stranded in the Persian Gulf, leading to severe restrictions on export routes and filling storage capacities. This situation has forced Gulf producers to cut oil production. The closure of the strait and the strikes on Iran's energy infrastructure caused prices to skyrocket. On Monday, the global benchmark, Brent crude, rose to $116 per barrel, heading toward a record monthly increase of approximately 60%. Some analysts suggested that if the war continues until June, the price per barrel could rise to as high as $200. As for natural gas, the Dutch TTF benchmark price has nearly doubled since the start of the war. To address disruptions in the global oil supply, IEA members agreed in mid-March to the largest ever release of government oil reserves, totaling about 400 million barrels. Warnings have been issued that this measure is only a temporary fix, and that reopening the Strait of Hormuz and ending attacks on energy infrastructure are of paramount importance. Even if the strait were to open tomorrow, it will take time for energy markets to recover due to the damage inflicted on the infrastructure. For instance, Iranian attacks knocked out 17% of Qatar's liquefied natural gas (LNG) export capacity, and repairs could take up to 5 years. Among all continents, Asia bears the heaviest burden of this energy crisis. Approximately 80% of the oil passing through the Strait of Hormuz goes to Asia. South Korea imports 70% of its crude oil, Japan 95%, and the Philippines 98% from the Middle East. Consequently, Asian countries have begun implementing emergency measures. South Korea is considering extending driving restrictions to the general public. The Philippines declared a national energy emergency, stating that nothing is off the table. Sri Lanka declared every Wednesday a public holiday and introduced fuel rationing. The Thai government asked citizens to use air conditioners on low settings and ordered remote work. In India, a shortage of cooking gas has left people and businesses in a difficult position. JP Morgan analysts noted that the energy shock is emerging sequentially rather than simultaneously. A gradual supply disruption is moving westward. Africa is next, early April, followed by Europe in mid-April. Lastly, while the US is unlikely to face a physical fuel shortage in the near future, it will feel the impact through higher prices and refined product market disruptions. The impact on fertilizer production is particularly concerning as it coincides with the spring planting season. Since most fertilizers are produced using natural gas, the energy-rich Middle East is a vital producer. About one-third of global seaborne fertilizer typically passes through this strait. Consequently, fertilizer prices have soared, with uranium futures rising by about 50%. Higher fertilizer prices mean higher costs for farmers, while shortages lead to lower crop yields and rising food prices. According to the World Food Program, if the war continues through Q2 of this year, the number of people facing acute hunger could increase by 45 million. A further indirect effect is on helium. This element is a byproduct of natural gas processing. Thus, Qatar produces nearly one-third of the world's supply. The war-induced helium shortage poses a serious threat to global tech supply chains, as helium is critical for the production of semiconductors and microchips. It is also vital for the healthcare sector, While giants like TSMC and Samsung can currently rely on stockpiles, industry consultant Phil Kornbluth warns, "The weather is sunny on the beach right now, but a tsunami is coming." Finally, the petrochemical and plastic industries are similarly affected. Plastics are mostly produced in Asia, with China being the lead producer. However, the region imports over 60% of its naphtha, a critical component, from the Middle East. This has caused prices for polyethylene and polypropylene to jump by 40%, leading to inflationary consequences. The economic turmoil is extensive, and it is highly likely that a prolonged conflict could bankrupt the global economy and lead to the birth of a new system. As Barclays analysts noted, the inconsistent communication from the Trump administration regarding the war, its objectives, and duration has created a dense layer of fog. In this video, we discussed the U.S.-Israeli strikes against Iran and the global economic fallout. Subscribe for more updates, and if you liked this video, don't forget to leave a like.